First time ever, I think, World Under-20s, all the Southern Hemisphere, the big four got pumped. Impal, terrible outcome for the Southern Hemisphere. New Zealand smashed 35-14 by France, who look magnificent. The Baby Boks humiliated 34-26 by a passionate Italian side. The Wallabies trodden on 30-10, beaten up by an Irish side. And Argentina shut out 20-0 by Georgia. Zels, unexpected.
We're going to have to switch to hockey, mate. It's over. Doom and gloom. The future is dark. No, it's under-20 rugby, man. It is what it is. It's obviously those are very disappointing results for South Africa, for New Zealand, and for Australia. Damn. But you got to think the guys will bounce back. And I mean, even if they don't, we've spoken about it. These things, they go in cycles. I'm not sure what the Junior Boks did in 2015, but we won the World Cup in 2019. Yes, they did well in 2000 and whatever under Jake, and we ended up winning the 2007 World Cup. But I don't think it has too much bearing on the future of the Boks.
Certainly not on the future of the Boks. I mean, very surprised that Italy would beat us. The weather conditions didn't help. It certainly suited a tight forward game. It was bucketing with rain and muddy and wet. Good old Western Cape, Boland, June weather.
I don't understand why the fields are in such bad shape. I mean, I know it's been raining a lot.
But no, mate, I do understand. Have you been out in Paul?
We're in a country where they produce Prenutro. Just one box, a little bit of a scatter on that field. You know how Prenutro just soaks up.
Okay, well, we're not blaming any field or blaming any conditions because everyone plays in the conditions. The South African result did surprise me because I thought we would still be too good to lose to Italy at home.
You should have seen them. Mate, it was a comedy of errors.
The result that didn't surprise me was New Zealand getting pumped by
France.
I mean, again, their haka was so impressive. Less
Goose
haka
flesh.
And more Maulin. That's what I'm going to say for the under-20s.
Mate,
the senior All Blacks
for both teams.
Take something out of that. We can't even use the excuse that we had a haka.
You should have seen what we were doing. So they're playing in the mud, okay? So Italy wins the line out. They start driving. I don't know if there's a lot of muddy fields in Italy, but they are driving them all with short, choppy steps. Our guys just lock out their legs. And it's like watching guys get pushed on ice. They were just sliding back toward the try line. And they never ever fixed that, the whole game.
Yeah, I believe that they got mauled to pieces. And then Imi Khan, I believe he also just smashed one straight into the charge down kick right in front of the post.
He set that conversion up like 1 meter from the try line. It was embarrassing. But he didn't have too bad a game. I knew we were in trouble from the opening kickoff when our brave number 8 ran into the Italy captain. And the Italy captain picked him up by his underrods and threw him back 5 meters.
Threw him back to Stellenbosch.
Yeah.
Again, further to your point earlier, it's great having the Under-20 World Championship here. I never put much store in does that dictate or determine international rugby, because you look at cycles. In a 10-year period, there's going to be 10 SA Under-20 sides picked.
Yeah.
And there's a good chance that only 2 of those number 10s ever come through over that 10-year period. So our 2 sides that won it, under Peter de Villiers and Jake White, had a core of 6 or 7 players that you knew instantly would go on to play for the Springboks. The Skalkbergers, the Farida Prez, the Ricky Januaries, the Andre Pollards,
the Clyde Rathbones.
The Clyde Rathbones went on to play for Australia, the Brad Barretts who went on to play for England, and a couple who went on to play for France.
Yes.
So, and many who went on to play for Italy. So, I look at this side, I don't see one future Springbok in it.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say I don't see one future Springbok.
Well, come on, that's what you told me before.
But certainly when I look at that pack of forwards, I mean...
Who's your future Springbok out of this?
The hooker missed 5 out of 12 lineouts. It was, I mean...
Into the Stormers.
That's exactly what I was thinking. He sounds like a Stormers hooker. But John, it just wasn't all around the park, just the unforced errors. I mean, there were times when there was an opportunity to change the momentum and then the penalty didn't find touch. The charge down conversion, both halfbacks went off injured. We couldn't stop them all. The scrum was a mess.
All right, he's done the review.
Let's talk about the bright spark.
Let's talk about the bright things. Let's talk about the cover of SA Rugby magazine. Just absolutely magnificent. I love this comic that you guys are producing at the moment. Andre Pollard, he's been putting cotton wool to the World Cup. Mani Labok, I wrote a column for the Times Alive to say, pick him to start all 3 Rugby Championship games. let him play against Australia, let him play against New Zealand a week later, and let him play against Argentina. And especially those first two, those 160 minutes of Test rugby in Pretoria and in Auckland will be worth gold when we go to the World Cup. Pollard will always be the first choice start at 10, but he is susceptible to injury, and he's spent half of the last 4 years on the sidelines. So what is our backup? It has to be Lebok. We know that Willemse is a risk because of his goal kicking, where Marty Lebok at least gives you a goal kicking option. And
tell that to Munster.
Yeah, and Alton Yankees. Well, as I said, it will be anxious moments if he's our go-to guy at the World Cup. We spoke about that ad nauseum, so let's forget that one.
Yep.
But your view on the Lebok issue?
Yeah, look, I'm not going to beat the old drum. I'm just going to say we are in a position where Andre is the starting fly half. We have question marks around Alton, as discussed. Lebok, if you've got Damien Willemse in that utility role where he's covering 7 positions in the back line, you do need another guy. Lebok is the informed guy at the moment, does have value. Whether he can play Test rugby, that's another conversation. But certainly, I don't know where else you would go to try and find somebody there. I see some of the SA Rugby Mag readers, when we ran a poll, suggested we bring back Bobby Dupree. So,
Rob Dupree.
Yeah, I don't really know. Yeah, in terms of where we stand right now, Lebok is the guy who deserves an opportunity, like you say, in the Rugby Championship. And as we've said before, he's hoping he takes it with both hands.
Would you pick him to play in the final of the World Cup and be confident?
Well, I can answer that question with a question and say, if you don't pick him to play in the final of a World Cup because Andre is not available, who do you play at 10?
I'm asking you, would you pick him, Councillor?
Is that a bird?
I'd pick him.
No.
Because I know we're not playing Munster in the final. Every player seems to have one team that they just don't ever do it against. And I think Munster is Martin's team, okay? Because he's sensational against most teams in the last 2 seasons.
Mate, he struggled at the Bulls. Bulls and red. Munster are red.
Yeah. Well, he struggled at the Bulls because he got 6 games in about 4 years or something like that. No, he got 40-odd games in 6 years between the Sharks and the Bulls. 45 games to be precise.
Wow.
In 6 years.
He's fresh.
He's certainly not going to suffer from any form of burnout.
He can play till he's 60, mate.
Let's put it that way. All right, so get the latest issue of SA Rugby magazine. It is on the shelves. It doesn't ask a question. It makes a statement. It says 10 reasons to start at the World Cup, and that both must go, Lebok and Pollard.
Yep.
And Rassie and Jacques have spoken about Pollard also being an option at 12. He has played there for the under-20s. He could fulfill a New Zealand type second 5'8" role there.
Yeah.
But some great stuff, some great reading. And there's a fantastic column that I wrote in the back as well.
Give it a punt.
Give it a punt. I think I wrote a column about. I think it must have been game changer. It was about Marty Lebok.
Of course it was.
People say that I was too harsh on him after the URC final. A lot of emotions went through me that night when I said, that's why this guy won't play Test rugby. I retired him.
One thing I will say about Marty Lebok is that you sent him to France with the rest, mate.
I'm sending him to France to play club rugby.
France have called, there's no more space. Stop sending these guys.
You can go as the medical joker.
You say joker, but in a way, like Lebok, in that X-factor moment in the game, he is a fantastic weapon, obviously. When the game gets loose and broken up and you have to make a decision on the fly, he's a guy he could win it for either team.
Look, I thought when he did come on against England, between him and Damien Willemse, there was a kind of attacking motion that we just have never seen with the Springboks. So I'm backing Marty Lebok, and I'm going to back him through this Rugby Championship.
Beautiful.
And I may retire him after the Rugby Championship, I don't know yet, but that's the beauty of sport, beauty of the show. We get to pick guys every week and retire them every week.
Okay, let's go back to the future. The Junior Boks are playing Argentina on Tuesday.
We'll be talking about that one on Monday. So let's wrap today's show up with, it's that time of the year when everyone brings out a new World Cup jersey.
Oh.
And I don't know what goes on the minds of advertisers, teams, marketing heads, but my God, there's some shockers that have been produced in the last week. Most notably the All Blacks. Probably the worst jersey I've ever seen on All Black. How do you fuck up a black and white option?
Mate, it's in the name. All Blacks. I mean, how difficult is it? I don't understand it. Yeah, and I'm also not sure. Is that a fern? It looks like an extended daisy. It might be a butterfly. What is going on there?
It looks like my beautiful little 22-month-old Pike here's drawing of
Correct,
Hardy-Dars,
mate.
okay?
It's a Hardy-Dar.
I thought it was a lot of Hardy-Dars that were drawn across that jersey. Okay? Graffiti on the All Black jersey.
Oh.
You know, they talk about the All Black jersey being this sacred prized possession that it was doom and gloom when they put a sponsor on there, but now they've let some French street artist go and scribble on it, all over it.
The Argentinians released their alternate kit.
I was going to talk about that. It's a shocker.
I love it. So it is very...
Because it's military.
It's very Argentinian, right? It's like Boca Juniors. It's got that vibe. Like, there's a reason to launch that jersey. There's no reason to launch an All Blacks jersey. Why is it such a big deal? I don't understand. It's going to be black.
Well, 2015, they were all black with a bit of silver in it, black boots. They looked the part, they played the
2015
part.
was the right one.
And they won. Every time they deviate, they come up with something fancy.
Do you remember in '99 they had the big thing with the sticky jersey, and the first thing that happened in the World Cup was they kicked off the Tan Randall and he dropped it.
Exactly. Well, I mean, the fact that they kicked off the Tan Randall should have said it all before they left. So some shockers. The Boks one yet to be released. The Boks will be sponsored by Nike. Which I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, because I was with the Boks when Nike sponsored us, and it was probably one of our worst cycles we ever had. So,
I don't think they're going to be sponsoring the show.
I hope history doesn't repeat itself. And this Nike sponsorship actually aligns with the victorious Springbok side.
Yeah.
Zels, have a fantastic weekend. Go on to SA Rugby Magazine. There'll be some good videos there, some good shows, but it all really starts next week, when it's the Springboks up against Australia. Eddie Jones is in town. We're going to be chatting lots next week. And obviously the All Blacks go down to Buenos Aires and they play the Pumas. And the way things are going at the Under-20 World Cup, don't be surprised if there's a few upsets next week. But certainly won't be in Pretoria, because we are backing Eddie to take a beating in his first match back.
It's going to happen.